Miami and beyond. Every city is built around people. Every city has artists that are creating a culture. It also has the entrepreneurs that are opening their storefronts and the community leaders that kind of solve the problems. And increasingly right now, it's also the innovators that are kind of really helping shape how our cities look like and adapt to everything that's happening around us. And those are stories that I actually want to tell and start building here as part of City Built. And if you're listening on Slam Radio, Sirius XM channel 145, we're also rebroadcast there. Welcome to the show. Every generation experiences a major technology shift. Like we were talking about before, I started in IT back in the 90s, and back then, like, people were worried about, actually when I first started, people were worried about even just having a computer.
That's right.
And then it came the internet. Nobody wanted to deal with the internet. People weren't sure what it was. Then there was cloud computing, then there's social media, and then there was remote work. And right now we're kind of entering this whole area of the era of AI, right, and everything else that comes with it. So the question isn't whether these technologies will change how we work. The question is who will adapt first and what happens to those who don't. And today's guest has spent more than 25 years helping businesses navigate those transitions. Is that fair to say?
Absolutely.
That's a big number, 25.
Yeah.
Today's guest is Manny Barrinat. Did I say that correct?
Absolutely. Yep.
He's an entrepreneur, technology strategist, and co-founder and CIO of SecureNet MSP and voting portals.
Correct.
Originally from Havana, Cuba, Manny arrived in Miami with his family in 1989 and has spent more than 2 decades building technology companies and helping organizations make smarter technology decisions. As a fractional CIO and technology advisor, he works with the businesses across Florida to improve security, increase efficiency, and prepare for what's next. Today, we talk about entrepreneurship, AI, cybersecurity, and even internships and technology, and why businesses that embrace change often outperform those that resist it. Manny, welcome to City Built.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Happy to be here.
So you already, I just mentioned that you, when you moved here, I'm assuming it was your family that brought you.
Yeah.
And what was that experience like? Just first coming to Miami. Did you always live in Miami?
Always.
After that?
Yeah, always. Well, it's funny. We first, when it was, imagine 1989, living in Cuba, my grandfather we were lucky enough that he was able to bring us. So we came in a plane, very comfortable. But on the way here, me and my brother were joking around, like saying, watch, in 5-10 years, we're going to be speaking this way. And, we were just making fun of the whole situation. And, but one of the things I realized when we first landed here is just the amount of lights, the highways, how big the city was, how nice things were.
Yeah.
And, when we first came, we moved with our grandfather, which lived in Opalaca at that time.
Yeah.
And so just getting used to this whole new world and coming from Cuba and being that young, it was completely surprising. We didn't expect it at all.
I lived down the street from you. I lived in Carroll City there at the time.
Oh, there you go.
Right down the street from you. And so that is really interesting, like, because it's especially in contrast now where it's when you were coming over, you're talking about all the lights and everything now.
Yeah. Something as simple as that, yeah.
Yeah, it's something as simple as just that and moving forward, like now where you're working in technology, is kind of an interesting juxtaposition how far you've come and kind of embrace that light.
and it could be part of the reason why I enjoy it so much too. The innovation, how companies use technology to help, right? To solve problems, to make everybody's lives more comfortable. So
what are some of the other things you remember, like growing up here, like when you first came here? Because early 90s in Miami is a very different world from what it is today.
I think the biggest thing, being at that age anyways, is just how busy and how many options there were. Back in Cuba, it was very simple.
Yeah.
You go to the same school, you have your same friends, you just play baseball, that's your one hobby. There really aren't many parks or things to do.
Yeah.
But here, there were just so many options. And it almost seems like you're like living here, you're with the times. you're not stuck in a certain year of innovation. Here, it's like every year or two, you expect something new. Or I'm driving around, we then lived in Hialeah, and then after that, Hialeah Gardens. And just, we got used to seeing businesses start up or something get improved or, new things. And I think that was the biggest change. Again, I was only 6 years old, so I don't remember much. But for some reason, that's what I always notice and see.
It's still true. Like right now, I'm living in downtown, and every other week you just see the building that was there has changed, or it's evolved, or something has moved, and it's just constant change. And even focusing on what you do now in AI, it's literally changes weekly. There's an entire new genre coming out.
That's right.
And so you've kind of evolved and stayed in that change, in that space for change.
That's right. And I somehow like it. I don't know why. If everybody tells me, like, man, your job is, it doesn't feel hard for me because I'm having fun. But at the same time, people that are in other professions tell us, your job, you're always having to learn. And I didn't really understand what they meant, because to me it was normal to continuously be being updated with the new technology that's coming out. Yeah. But in other professions, you don't have to worry about that. It's the same thing, and it will always be the same thing. There's obviously technologies helping every single industry, so there's things that they need to catch up on. But for the most part, it's not as major as it is in IT, especially looking at AI and all it's doing.
When did you start getting interested in technology?
To be honest with you, in high school, I love music. So in middle school, I was in band, jazz band, the whole thing.
What did you play?
The clarinet first, and then the alto sax.
Oh, okay. I played trumpet.
Woodwinds.
I played trumpet and violin.
Awesome. I love violin. That's one of my favorite. I never got to play it though. So after that,
I didn't say I was any good, but I played it.
It's just beautiful, as an instrument. Yeah.
Yeah.
But then I got to play the guitar. So that's what I play now mostly.
Oh, so you still play?
Yeah. Just as a hobby though.
Yeah.
And so after that, I asked my music teacher, listen, are there any, I don't know why I asked him this question, but is there any future being in the music industry, playing instruments? And he said, no, not really. It's really hard for a musician to make it, when you're out of high school or college or whatever. So then after that, it started making me realize, well, I'm not going to do music when I'm older, right? So now I got to find something else. So then we got lucky. My parents moved to Hialeah. We ended up going to Barbara Goldman, a school that had just opened around that time. And there were a lot of computer programs in the school. For example, graphics design.
Yeah.
That was one of my favorite classes. And in there we were using Macs. We were playing around with Photoshop, taking pictures, editing, scanning, screen printing, all that cool stuff. But I gravitated to computers. And then in my senior year, we took this personality test that tells you sort of like what will be an ideal job for you in the future based on the way you answer the questions. And it turned out that I think it was computer engineer or software engineer, something like that came out. And I was like, wait a second, that sounds interesting. And I do like technology. So ever since then, I realized this is something I could do. Then in that same year, Miami-Dade had an internship program where for a grade you would leave early. I left like around 11 or 12 p.m. and then I would do an internship program. I got lucky again. I found a company because I had to go and interview different companies that would accept me. Ended up at Helusa USA, which is a I don't think they exist anymore, but they make medical products for companies here in the U.S.
Okay.
And I was mentored by Robert. He was the CIO, systems engineer at that time, they would call it, for that company. And I mean, think about it. In high school, I was their junior system administrator. And this guy would make me do everything. He really taught me. He really
That's huge, especially like now in the context of how hard it is to get an internship, to be able to, in high school, be able to step in and...
Yes.
And...
yeah. So, I mean, to me, that changed my life completely. Because after that, I knew it's a job role that has potential. It has
Yeah.
growth. I did see it as every company is going to need somebody that leads and manages their IT, their technology. And so I just basically copied my mentor. I wanted to learn what he learned and what he knows. And eventually that led us to opening a company together, which lasted for about 2 years, which then led me to having my own business running, providing, essentially SecureNet MSP provides an IT department for small, medium-sized businesses in South Florida and all throughout Florida. And just, it's just natural. It's the same thing I've been doing, it feels like, since high school.
That's really cool.
So, yeah.
And so, but you've actually launched several businesses, actually, right?
From then, yes, we've launched several businesses. One of them, one of the first ones that we launched is called Intermedia Touch, which is a interactive digital signage company.
Mm-hmm.
We started, but we already exited that company. We also now have Voting Portals, which is an online voting software that started 7 years ago. We're super excited about that company because it's giving associations, condominiums, and homeowners associations an option to vote online, something that they haven't been able to do for, since the law passed around 7 years ago.
Yeah.
And so being able to provide that service and seeing how happy residents are to be able to cast their ballot, their vote, anywhere they're at, and in all cases meet quorum, because once you cast your vote online, it counts towards quorum. And so, yeah, we've seen a positive change in a lot of the associations of our clients being able to take advantage of that technology.
And this whole time you've also been running SecureNet.
And at the whole time, SecureNet. That's
so
right. Yeah.
As a business owner, and a fractional CIO position, essentially part of what you do is in SecureNet. Well, I'll take half a step back. For those who don't know, what is a fractional CIO?
Yeah, so a fractional CIO essentially is a part-time CIO. Now, one of the things many years ago, and depending on the company size, a CIO, there was only one per company. And it makes sense because if you look at what a CIO does for an enterprise, right, which would be a company that has more than 300 employees typically, mm-hmm. It's a lot of strategies, a lot of meetings, communicating with their team, communicating with the other C execs, and just continuously helping the company move forward, managing the security posture as well. So there's a lot of work if you are a company that has that many employees.
Yeah.
But for our target client, under 300 employees, it's not that hard and time consuming, I like to say, especially with the amount of programs that are out there that help us do our job.
Yeah, there's so many tools now. And
right.
When I was working in IT, one of the roles I had was I managed the help desk hardware and software, and it was so time consuming because you were literally running around at the desk fixing things, repairing things, connecting the network, and so on and so forth. So you never really had time to think of looking forward or understand. And that was always like our CIO's job of creating a vision for what new technology is coming out, how it's going to affect, how to include security and what levels and where, and spending the budget and all those things. And it was always a job I had interest in doing, and so just like look. But again, that was like 30 years ago. So like looking to now, where it's so much more it's so much more of a need, but at the same time, like you said, for like a lot of the smaller companies, it's not as much of a need, but it's still important.
Correct. And the CIO position, again, since it's mostly strategy based,
right?
How often do you have to talk about strategy? It's not like a small company could change their strategy or apply or continue applying something that you are going to implement. It's going to take them 3 to 6 months or sometimes a year.
Network,
right.
And you really
our average customer size is employee count is 30 to 50 employees. So think about it. It's not that complicated.
Yeah.
And so that's why we've been able to take advantage of all this technology and be able to provide the support and the service we provide. Now, naturally, there is a limit. Every company has, in our case, our MSP has a limit. We assign a CIO to a certain number of customers, and that number is based on how many employees each customer has.
Yeah, if the business calls for it. But then you provide a different set of services because they just may need straight tech support help if they got 2 computers versus
in some
50.
cases. That's right. In the customers that we focus on, we essentially provide all the departments that we see a small business would need. I'll go through them quickly. So the first one is a service desk, which you mentioned. That's what essentially everybody starts at, right?
Yeah.
Something's not working, call support, and the guy's going to help you out.
Somebody to call and make sure somebody answers the phone.
Right. And then after that, we have the proactive team. And this is where right around 2006, 2010, it's when that shift started, when we were able to connect remotely, because the remote connection technology didn't really start making sense around that time.
It really
in
did
06.
suck before.
It was horrible. Yeah, the net meeting, I think it was called.
Yeah, that was one of them. And yeah.
They were so bad.
So bad.
And unsafe. But I remember in 2006, Log Me In had come out.
Yes.
And they had a free plan. And so we were using that. And even that plan was using encryption, from beginning to end. So we ended up, obviously after getting the paid plan, but products like that started making remote connection a thing. So then after that, we started realizing, wait a second, we need to start cutting down the amount of time that we spend providing services, because it's very expensive.
Yeah.
So then 08, 09 happened, the economy crashed, and now we really needed to be more efficient, because customers were calling in and saying, listen, I need your service, but I can't pay this much.
Right.
So that's when proactive services started coming in. So that's the second part that we provide. The third is obvious, is professional services, which is essentially creating projects and setting up new computers, moving your business from one office to another, or opening a new office, etc. Then we have an alignment manager, which is someone that is looking at your technology as a whole, comparing it to best standards, and then essentially just documenting it. Then the VCIO will get that information, write that report, and present it to the business owner and let them know these
is what
are your
you have,
gaps.
and this is what gaps, and this is what you should be doing. Here's a plan.
Here's a plan.
If you want to do it, let us know.
Right. And we'll say, some cases we say, this is something you have to do. We don't like to say that much, but nowadays there are some things that you have to do.
Yeah.
And so we'll make that recommendation and budget it after that.
So running 3 or 4 companies, managing a team of however many employees you have, like how do you juggle it all?
Well, I have a wonderful wife that helps me. She's the people person. She's able to help me and help the team stay managed and control the chaos. But mainly it's our team. Really, our employees. When we interview and look for someone, we look for people that are self-managed, self-motivated. We really don't want to have to be on top of them, because if you are,
so you definitely have to find the right people.
Right.
Yeah. I had the same issue. And you usually can tell pretty quickly, when you hire the person on a team, and because you need them to just go do the thing and make sure it's resolved completely. That's the key. And identify and actually resolve the issue. Because if not, you're going to have to come back and deal with it, or it could be a bigger problem than you didn't realize. Especially if you're dealing with a virus or some network issue or other things. The team really does matter.
It absolutely. And if you notice, for example, in our case, one easy way of noticing is if you have an engineer and you send them on site to an office, then he tells you next week he has to go back, and then next week he has to go back 2 times.
Yeah.
Either there's somebody there he likes or wants to see or something.
You should have caught all of this the first time. Especially nowadays, there's too many tools now to not be able to find the majority of those things fairly quickly. And
Absolutely.
half of them can fix themselves remotely. So
our proactive team, that's central services team, that's their job. They're supposed to continuously check how can we reduce the amount of these calls, and in some cases automate it. A lot of our tools already have automation built in, And so it's another example of, back in '06, we had to take advantage of remote because the customers demanded it. We needed to provide quicker support and also to reduce our costs. Now we have to use AI for the same reason.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then so you also have a unique vantage point dealing and working with all these different businesses. What are 3 mistakes that you see businesses make on the technology side when you're assessing or bringing them on?
Yeah, the first one I would say that I see often is they underspend or overspend. It's rare to see
overspend.
It's rare to see a company that is in the right amount.
Yeah.
And that spends in the right category. Sometimes I see overspending in hosting, for example. They'll get a Microsoft Azure or Google.
And they just buy the whole suite.
And sometimes it's over $7,000-$10,000 a month.
Yeah.
And you don't need it.
And they use 3 things out of the 100.
Right. When you do an analysis, you're like, the processor is not used more than 2%.
Yeah.
Of the time. So why it's an overkill, and I understand it. Sometimes when you're buying technology, you want to get the best because you think that it's going to give better service to your clients. But that's where we come in and we say you don't need to. They'll get the same exact experience.
Yeah.
But you spend less, and then if you still want to spend that much money, here's what I would recommend because this is your gap.
Reallocate it to something else.
Right. And so that's the one thing that I see most often. The other thing I notice is that they don't talk. This is not so much on the technology side, but they don't talk to their employees and ask them, how can I help you technology-wise, help you do your job easier, more comfortable, better. It doesn't have to be that AI replaces you, but it may replace some of the things you do.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to replace a person. And I actually, what I'm seeing is that it's not necessarily replacing the person as a whole, it's replacing some of the things they do. And so if you start thinking about it like that, or if they start thinking about it like that, number one, they're going to save money right away because a more efficient employee means they're going to be able to do more for the company.
Yeah.
And then I say the third one is having the right tech partner and knowing when to make the change.
Yeah. In-house or out, just at least have the right person.
Yes. And again, most companies that are over 80, 90, even 100 employees, they tend to have at least one resource in-house. It could be somebody in operations, right, that manages the tech. They may have someone, even a level 1, tier 1 engineer that perhaps helps with phones, systems, or something physical.
Yeah.
We see that all the time, and it's expected for a company that size. We still come in and we provide the rest of the support and back-end systems that they need.
And then they just escalate to you based upon...
And then they escalate, right. So even that, I noticed people don't take advantage. They think that one person is able to do it all.
Yeah.
It's humanly impossible for one person to do the 5 departments I just mentioned. Even if they know how to do it, me and myself, I know how to do it, I wouldn't have the time.
Right.
It's just impossible. So, but the mistake I see is number one, understanding that, but also making the switch. It's so much easier than it seems. I've never seen the situation, me personally, I hope it never happens to anyone, but that a previous IT person comes in and starts causing damage or causing an issue.
Yeah.
Usually they don't care about that. They just want to get paid. They'll charge for the disconnection and the transfer of knowledge. They'll charge for that. But typically they're fine. Then after that, the customers start telling us, man, I should have done this sooner.
Right.
So that's the third thing I've noticed.
Elaborate a little bit more about when you're saying the switch. What are you referring to?
Switching from one IT provider to another. Or switching from one IT person to another. And mainly switching the main person, not switching one of your employees in IT. No, but sometimes you have to make the change from the top.
Usually many times it's the management at the top because that dictates the level of service, how Absolutely. They know, because it's training. And that was like, when I was working in IT, I had the same issue, or half the time the 40% of the problem was between the desk and the chair, the person.
Yeah.
You got to talk to that person and engage. And a lot of the guys, several of the guys I worked with really just kind of focused on the hardware issue.
That's right.
But they didn't really understand what the person was trying to communicate. Because what they say, what they mean, and what they actually need are usually three different things.
Right.
And if you take half a minute to talk to them, you can fix your problem way quicker and you leave happier.
That's the one thing I tell my help desk team all the time. Just talk to the person.
Just talk to them.
Yeah. That's why it's funny. I see a lot of AI, well, not a lot, but I'm starting to see AI programs that are trying to tackle tier 1 support. And I laugh inside because I'm like, people don't report the problems correctly.
No, they don't, because they and it's not their job to. They really can't communicate or really
they don't
want
know how to communicate it.
Yeah, they can't communicate it, and then sometimes just need to be there. A lot of times it's just really like it's a physical thing that they're doing, and they'll describe it and say a thing, but then when you go look, they're doing something completely different. And if you're not able to communicate, you need to be able to engage and see with that person and translate for them what they actually mean. So I definitely feel like that's not something that's going to go away as immediately. I think there's always going to be a need for human touch and everything like that.
And
you
it'll
already
help.
touched about
It'll help, but it won't, like you're saying, it won't replace it. The other thing I fear about that is the security exposure that's putting on the company.
just leaving everything to an AI.
Yeah, because a lot of times some of the requests we get, they come in as a simple, can you help me with this? I can't access certain files. But there was a reason why you couldn't access the files.
Yeah, you're restricted.
Right.
You weren't supposed to.
So now what is the AI going to do? It's going to, fix it. So you're going to have to train AI into what those, edges are. Like do not, if it's such and such person, you give them access. If it's other person, don't give it. But
right, even if they
think about the amount of work it's going to take for the business owner to explain that to a system, and let alone keep it updated.
Right.
People change.
Yeah.
And so it's harder than it seems. Again, there are some things that it could help with, and we are actually using some of it ourselves. Again, we have to be efficient and we have to keep our costs down. But completely replacing it, I don't think so.
Sticking with the with that word switch, for you, when did you decide to start leveraging AI as a tool? When did you switch?
Well, that's an easy answer. Fabiana is the one that made us switch.
And for those that don't know, Fabiana's the CEO and also wife.
Yes, we work together, and she was the one that kept pushing us to use it. I'm talking about like two and a half, maybe 3 years ago. I mean, as soon as ChatGPT came out, she already had it. She was using it, and I love technology. I love supporting the technology, but I'm not using it day to day, cutting edge. Like she was. And she was just using it nonstop and showing us like how much time we were wasting.
How much time you were saving,
and it just kept on, and the examples kept coming, and we use Teams to communicate internally.
Yeah.
And she would notice somebody was spending an hour, 2 or 3 hours trying to figure something out. She'd say, "Here you go, I just did it for you in 5 minutes," and they were just sort of like, "How did you do this?" And so. I would say since ChatGPT came out and it was usable, that's when we started it. Before that, though, we always done automation. Mm-hmm. So the nice part of AI right now is not just the AI part, but that these platforms are mixing automation with AI. Because if you think about it, I could go into a prompt, I tell it to solve something for me, but it essentially is just giving me more work.
Right.
So with automation, at the end of the day, you are able to get the results and with an agent, have it do whatever you want her to do for you. Of course, it takes some programming and, we provide that as a service as well.
Right.
But it's that's the amazing part that now you have logic to an automation workflow.
What mistake do you see, like when you're stepping into a new company, what mistake do you see that the businesses are misusing or not leveraging the most of AI, or the level ones are not implementing it right? Yeah,
the number one mistake I'm seeing right now is that they think just using the tool and giving it to someone, it's going to solve the problem, and it's going to elevate the company's IT strategy.
By just giving access to it.
Just giving access to
Right.
it and telling people figure it out. We've been
Right.
hearing that, and it's sad because in some cases, the owners are telling their employees, "Here you go, use this tool. If you can't figure it out, you're
I
out."
got you a license to ChatGPT, Claude.
Claude is a favorite one for
Yeah.
that now because the other ads make it seem like you could easily replace someone
Yeah.
or replace your work with
Yeah.
what Claude is doing for you, and it's not true. Not only is it not true, because again, it could replace some of the things you do. Again, it cannot replace a person. But also, they're missing the point that someone that doesn't know about technology can't really figure out how to implement technology, and that's the other mistake I'm seeing, that these tools is about the type of access that they have to your data.
Yeah.
If
Like
they
you
don't
said,
have access to your data,
Yeah.
how is it going to produce something worthwhile? If you wanted to schedule things for you, well, I may need access to my boss's calendar, right? Or I may need access to files that I don't have access to, or information or knowledge I don't have access to. So where is the system going to get that from? And then you have these employees giving access to Claude or ChatGPT to platforms that they shouldn't have access to.
Permission, then has full
Right,
access.
because who's going to sit in there and start giving it, just
detailed
enough?
path to the exact file.
No, they're going to give admin, and I see that all the time.
Yeah.
The whole admin to the whole system, SharePoint or whatever, or the whole site,
Yeah.
or Dropbox or Ignite, whatever they're using.
And then now everybody who's using Claude has access to everything that you may or may not want to.
And what does it look like to the owners, right? Oh, they solved it.
Yeah.
You see, they got it done. Yeah, but in the back end, it's horrible.
Yeah.
You don't want to have a solution like that. And you know what? It only takes a few hours of a meeting with an IT strategist, a CIO, somebody. Perhaps they may already have somebody like that in their team, or they may leverage their own MSP, right? That's
Yeah.
providing that service. Just have a meeting with them and figure out that strategy. They're going to save themselves a lot of headaches, and at the end of the day, they're gonna get a benefit out of it.
So aside from calling you, the first thing they should do is have a conversation with a technology strategist in terms of how to implement AI in their companies.
Well, our company provides that as a service as well. That's part of the CIO service that we provide. So
Yeah.
if there's a company out there that needs that type of support or help, if you have a team or not, we'll be able to help with that. Yeah.
Cool. I forgot to do this quick break earlier. I was going to say, if you're listening to City Built Sessions, my name is Irvans Augustin. Today's guest is Manny Barrinat, co-founder and CIO of SecureNet MSP and Voting Portals. We've been discussing how businesses can stay competitive through technology adoption and innovation. Now we can jump back into the conversation. Everyone is talking about AI. What are businesses actually doing well with AI from your standpoint?
Yeah, the one thing that I'm seeing, and actually it's funny, I didn't see that in 2006 when it came to remote technology and having people work remotely, because I think that's just a really cool tool for some companies to leverage, and I didn't see that many leveraging it back then. They were scared. They didn't want people working from home. Mm-hmm. But what I am seeing with AI is that people are not scared to jump into it. It's the opposite. They're jumping into it no matter what, and so in our industry, we call it shadow IT, when we have employees that are figuring out how to do something, and they're using their own tools.
I used to love those folks, though. There was always one person or two in each department that you could touch base with. I can't make it over there. Go over there and look at something for me.
Yes. So we get alerts all the time of tools that they shouldn't be using.
Yeah.
Or tools that maybe they're okay, like Claude, for example.
Right.
But we rolled out a policy that you are supposed to use this other tool. Microsoft Copilot is one of the ones we recommend a lot, especially for companies that have the Microsoft 365 ecosystem already in their business. And so we see that a little too much right now, and data's just being posted on these apps, and really there's no way of controlling it unless you tell the systems, hey, you cannot access cloud.com, or these URLs, or stop these programs from running, so
Right.
they don't even get to it. But these programs are coming out at such a rapid rate that you have the owners have to have meetings with their employees and explain to them what should they be using and not. And so that's what I'm noticing there.
And the owners usually may not have the insight themselves. So it is really
yes,
having a technology strategist or somebody, or calling your team, and helping them to create a policy or something.
Yeah.
What does Microsoft recommend for implementing?
So that's great questions. Microsoft, what they're recommending, and this is what and this is why I say, going back to your previous question, what they're doing right is that they're adopting it and that they're trying it out, because that is one of the things that Microsoft recommends. They recommend step one, just start using it. Get used to it. Microsoft Copilot, they made it available to everyone that has Microsoft 365 standard.
Is that free?
Yeah.
There's Gemini is Copilot, Microsoft Copilot is free?
Gemini is Google's version, which you get it for free if you have a workspace account.
Yeah.
And then with Microsoft, Copilot is free if you have a standard or a business premium account. The business standard account?
Business standard account? Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
And it's quite powerful. I mean, it's similar to the paid version of ChatGPT.
Yeah.
So it's not bad. There are some limits in it, but again, to get started, that's what Microsoft recommends.
I'm going to date myself now, but the Microsoft Copilot reminds me of the paperclip.
Oh, yeah.
That they used to come.
People
for all the
wanted to
kids who
bring it
don't
back.
know, you can look it up on YouTube. But that's what it makes me think of, the way it pops up, and it's not as cheesy as a paperclip was. But I haven't really used it as much. But I'll have to check it out and give it a try.
It works really good. Again, it has its limitations. They all do. They all have their strengths and weaknesses. But what Microsoft recommends is to first start it out. Just start using it, right? If you're already in the Microsoft tenant, your data is protected. So you don't have to worry about that part. But then what their recommendation is to start, for the business owner, to find or discover, and select 2 or 3 people, maybe one, depending on the company size, that will dive into it a bit more, in more detail.
Do you recommend they get classes or something specific?
Whatever it takes.
What does deep dive mean?
So deep dive means using the tool, perhaps getting them the paid version of Copilot, which gives them access to Copilot Studio, lets them test some agents out, just get more familiar with the tool.
Yeah.
Microsoft has a ton of learning material to help them out. And actually, when you open up the tool, they have examples for you. They have templates. They tell you could start out asking questions like this, and once you start using the tool, you start figuring out one of the ways of using it, which is through the chat.
Yeah.
But the reason why they want somebody in your business that has, usually a management supervisor or a person that could make changes and recommend changes in the company, those are the first people that they recommend you going to. Once you do that, then that person will come back to the owners or managers and say, this is where I see we could use this tool to, and then you pick one project, right? Just one small project that would be an easy win. And I'm going to recommend that people pick a project that is simple, but that will immediately save someone a few hours, not a few minutes. And I would say if it takes you, let's say, 5 hours or 10 hours to create or to figure out, make sure that it saves you 5 to 10 hours a month. Right?
Ideally something that you do regularly, like something like you do monthly or weekly.
And something that annoys the person that is doing it.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to replace something that they perhaps are really good at or very hard to replicate.
Right.
Just because AI is able to do it, don't go that route at the beginning. So yeah, pick a simple win, go from there, and then after that, a few months would have passed. Then you're gonna pick, certain employees in your company and perhaps more managers, supervisors to continue using the tool. And now, as a company, if you notice, now the company is more mature when it comes to AI, and they're doing it the right way. They're going, one step at a time, and we've seen companies take this approach, and after 6 months to a year, they're implementing, projects that cost $3,000 to maybe even $8,000 to set up and create, but are saving countless of hours a month, or not replacing somebody, but replacing a process that multiple people do.
Yeah.
That even if they wanted to hire one person to do that, it would have been impossible.
Yeah.
And so that's the best example I could give.
I was that reminds me. I was going to ask you, like, everyone always talks about like the fear of AI just replacing everybody's job.
Yeah.
I was just curious about your opinion. I have an opinion, but I want to hear your opinion first as to what do you think about when you hear that?
So it will replace some people, but it will definitely, for the majority, it'll replace and change what they do. What I mean by that is you'll still need the person. For example, a good example is graphic designer. I could go to ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini or the Nano Banana, which is supposed to be really good, and I could tell it, make this image for me. But why would I do that if I have a graphic designer that already knows what I want, that will go back and forth with the prompt and the system and
So the graphic designer will be the one using the AI and going through it. Yeah.
That's right.
And I think I agree with you along the same lines, where a lot of times they talk about it's going to get rid of half your company, and we've heard people do that.
Yeah.
But if you have the people that you need and they're strong on your team, getting them a better tool just makes them better and not necessarily replaces them. And I don't necessarily think it has to be one or the other. And more than likely, it's probably going to be somewhere in the middle. But I don't feel like it's going to have to. I don't think you should just automatically just be replacing every single person because for everything you're saying. Like if you're writing a prompt for sticking with the graphic design image, there's aspect angles and ratios and other things that you as a professional know that you can put into the prompt to make it more specific to get the results way quicker than me. Say, draw me a horse. No, draw me a horse with 4 legs. No, draw me, and going back and forth.
It's time consuming.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, all that's replacing is the knowing the tool really well, like Photoshop or Illustrator. But I don't know. It's. I don't see it replacing the person in like that anytime soon. The other thing, going back to in the 90s, I remember there were some companies back then that they weren't using technology. Actually, one of my very first customers, a screen printing company in Miami, I think they had only one computer when I started working with them. They had like 8 employees.
I had the same thing. I had like the company I worked for at the time. They were an aviation marine fuel company. They, Fortune 500 company. So it was a large company.
Man.
Half the CEOs didn't use their computers. They had them. I set them up. They would never use them. They would call their secretaries to come in, physically print out all their emails, and then they would read them, and they would not even touch the computer.
They refuse.
Right. So there'll just be stacks of paper, and they're going through the emails and responding, and then passing it to and their secretary will be replying, but they have a computer sitting right there, and I think it's going to be a little bit of that way.
Yeah, exactly. And if you notice, there's still secretaries.
Yeah.
There's still, actually, I'd say there's more positions now after the introduction of computers, because now you have the entire tech stack. Now you have the software stack, right? Security. And all that evolves around tech, but I think something similar like that will happen in the AI field.
There's going to be a whole different set of jobs and other things.
And opportunities.
Yeah. And then switching back to the 90s, like you were saying, you mentioned internships, and I know like your company right now offers internships.
Right.
Tell me a little bit about that.
So that's a Florida Biz Collective. Mm-hmm. It's another startup we have with my wife.
Another
Mariana.
startup.
Yeah. This is exciting because this one is about connecting businesses with interns. So number one, to me, it changed my life. So internship to me is the best thing somebody could do when either in high school, starting college, at the end of college, whatever time it takes. Interns are amazing. But we noticed that, and it even happened to us, it's hard to bring in an intern. It's hard to,
it is.
What are you going to teach them? And
Why do you think that is?
Well, what happened to me in my case, I speak from experience, from my own experience, is number one, I was worried that they weren't going to get out of it something valuable.
Mm-hmm.
Like I didn't want to waste the intern's time.
Yeah.
I felt like my experience, it was so good, so valuable. And
experience you had growing up and going to that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I mean, my mentor really, really, really made it tough. It wasn't, I was just sitting there,
yeah,
playing around, and he made me figure things out and work hard for it. So creating that program, it's what I think most business owners or supervisors or managers are missing, right? They think it's very complicated, and it's not. There's a process, a system to it. So we try to educate business owners, teach them how to go through that, how to build the program. And the beauty is that once you build the program, and with AI right now, it's quite easy. We have some templates as well. Once you have the program built out, then you have employees from your team that could be the ones that teach or train or prepare the intern to do whatever job they're going to do. And then what we're seeing is that once the intern finishes their program, number one, they're super excited, but number two, they understand what that position was all about.
Yeah.
And they either going to want to pursue,
knowledge. Yeah.
and they either going to want to pursue that career path, or say, you know what, I this other one makes a lot of sense. And in tech, it's so important, I think, for people to take internships, because sometimes they think, oh, I want to be an on-site engineer, or I want to be a programmer, and they don't know
they
the
have
real
no context.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's still the same thing now, but we used to call them paper tigers, where people like go to college or go to class or take some tech thing, but actually never even touch a computer. But their resume is great because it took all the classes, but they're the ones who struggled the most when you send them to somebody's desk to actually fix a thing, because they've never actually done it. And also never really dealt with people. And which is another, again, like 40 or 50% of the problem is like, if you don't solve the people problem, you can't fix your tech issue.
It's incredible how, for us being tech and we're all in the virtual digital world, it's really people.
It's people.
That is, I think, number one. Yeah.
So the internships that you guys offer are primarily focused around technology?
So what we do is we connect the companies with Miami-Dade College or some other institution that has the interns available.
Oh, okay.
So we bridge the connection.
Yeah.
And we train the companies so that they know how to create that program. And
yeah. Which I think is huge, because I think that in the past,
that's what keeps a lot of businesses stuck.
100%, because I had the same problem years ago. People offered me interns, but the thing was like half my information was in my head.
Yeah.
I was busy working and other things, and it was hard to delegate because I wasn't organized and I didn't have a process to break things down, to delegate. I needed the help, but because I wasn't organized in a space or way,
you can't pass it.
I can't pass on the assignments, so I couldn't help them help me because I wasn't structured or organized. So I think it's great that you guys are creating a process for that. So
not only creating the program, but I think you touched on a good point, the helping them use technology to provide this internship or to manage the intern. Yeah. I think it's key. We love to use Microsoft Planner for that, because it lets you, again, you take an hour, 2, even 3 to prepare what the few weeks are going to look like for the intern. And within that system, you lay out everything. So for the next few weeks, you're not really spending too much time on them. You schedule some meetings with the person. Everybody has an hour a week or 2 hours a week to meet with the intern and see and check on their progress.
Yeah.
That alone, let me tell you, the feedback we get from our interns is amazing, and it puts a smile on their face to know that they're ready for a little bit more ready for the world after they leave us.
Oh, it's great to hear. All right, my last question for you: what is it that a business owner should know or ask when they're hiring an IT professional?
I think the most important question would be, show me previous experience. For example, let's say one example, I remember this client specifically, he asked me that question. He's like, why should I hire you instead of somebody else? Or instead of the other two people that I just interviewed? And my answer to him was, I just have more experience. And not only do I have more experience in tech or managing IT, but in your specific example. And then I followed that with my recommendation. I'm going to get a bit techie here, but my recommendation was to buy and spend, let's say $3,000 to $4,000 on a server system and with the implementation and all. It was about 15 years ago. Another IT person told them, you should spend $1,000. Buy this computer that you could find in Best Buy. We could turn it into a server. Done. The third person told them, spend $10,000. This is what you need. If you follow Dell and HP recommendation, this is a solution you need for a growing business and for you not to have any problems. They're both right. I'm also right. But the difference that experience gives you is that I've seen what happens when you spend the 10, and I've seen what happens when you spend the 1,000. The 10 you overspend, and you essentially have to throw it away without using any of the resources.
Yeah.
Like the example with Microsoft Azure overspending. The 1,000 is definitely going to give you too many problems. So you're going to save, but you're going to spend more later on.
Yeah.
So just spend the one in the middle.
Do it. Yeah.
So one way that an example of what experience looks like, because if you ask somebody the question, how much experience do you have? They're going to tell you 10 years, 15 years. But how do you qualify that? Is ask them to solve a problem for you and see how many options they give you. That would be my recommendation.
That was great. And before we go, I like to always close out with the quick three. Three questions, 3 quick answers, 10 seconds or less.
Cool.
And let's see what helps you build. What's one technology every small business should be paying attention to right now? 3 words or less.
AI.
That's one. That's good.
It's hard for me.
You did. What's one business myth you wish people would stop believing?
Sales is easy.
You're 2 for 2. What's one thing built in Miami that excites you about the future? That was a hard question. Or just it doesn't have to be in Miami.
Growth.
That's what excites you about the future, growth?
Yeah, there's a lot of opportunities here.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't want to use more than 3 words, but yeah, Miami's growing, and so it's good if you're starting out.
That works for me. All right, man. I think one of the takeaways I got from this conversation is that technology isn't just a story. It is really about people. And adaptation is also a key part of the process. And businesses thrive usually. The businesses that thrives are really the ones that are willing to kind of lean in and change and keep changing, almost, which has kind of been your motto for your life, it seems like. Just keep evolving and changing. Yeah. And whether it's computers or remote work or AI or whatever comes next, the companies that kind of embrace that change the way you have and others are starting to learn too, I think those are the ones that create the opportunities and keep the growth growing, like you're saying. So I think that's really awesome. Thanks for sharing those thoughts. Thank you for your insights and for helping businesses across the community navigate. Do you guys work only in Florida primarily, or do you guys work outside?
In Florida primarily. Yeah, primarily? If we do support businesses outside of the U.S., outside of the Florida area, but mostly remote. And we travel, but primarily it's in Florida. Yeah.
And what's your website where people can find you?
www.securenetmsp.com.
Awesome. Thanks for listening to the City Built Sessions. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and leave a review and share it with someone who cares about building stronger businesses and communities. You can find more episodes, videos, and stories of City Built Sessions on citybuiltsessions.com and the Community News website. What's the website from Miami Community News, Zoni?
Community Newspapers.
CommunityNewspapers.com. All right. And that's our show for today. Cities aren't built by skylines, they're built by people. My name is Irvans Augustin.